Excretion and homeostasis. Excretion is one of the characteristics of all living organisms, and it refers to the process by which living organisms remove waste products formed during metabolic processes from their bodies. Excretion may also involve the removal of substances taken into the body in excess amount. So basically, excretion is about removal, one, of waste products or substances in excess amount. So excess substances, these substances may be materials that are of use in the body, like water, mineral salts, but when they are in excess, then there is necessity to get rid of them. So excretion is not just the removal of the unwanted waste products, but it is also the removal of those substances that are taken into the body in excess amount, like water or mineral salts. Now, what is the importance of excretion to a living organism? Now, if the substances, be they waste products or materials taken into the body, now if these substances were left to accumulate in the cells, they would become toxic. These accumulation will then alter the conditions under which the cells function efficiently, leading to the death of the cells. It is therefore important to remove the waste products and the substances in excess in order to provide a suitable working environment for the cells. So, excretion prevents accumulation of waste products of metabolism to toxic levels. For example, carbon dioxide or urea. They are produced continuously in the body. Now, low levels of carbon dioxide and urea are not harmful to the cells, but if they accumulate to a certain level, then they would become toxic. So for this reason, it is important that they are excreted continuously. Now, another process that is closely related to excretion, but very different, is homeostasis. Now, homeostasis is the maintenance of a steady state in internal environment, which provides optimum conditions for the functioning of the cells, especially in multicellular organisms. Now, so homeostasis basically is sameness, maintenance of the same internal condition. Now, what is the internal condition? Now, in multicellular organisms, the immediate surrounding of the cells is constituted by the tissue fluid. The tissue fluid makes up the internal environment. So each tissue cell is surrounded by the tissue fluid. So it is the conditions within this tissue fluid that must be maintained at a near constant. And not only at a near constant, but the conditions must be such that they are optimum for the efficient functioning of the cells. So in a capillary bed like this, here you have the arteriole. This is the arteriole that brings the blood to the capillary bed. In the capillary, ultrafiltration takes place, diffusion occurs, or even active transport, through which nutrients like glucose, amino acids leave the blood and get into the tissue interstitial space where they make up the tissue fluid. Oxygen also leaves the capillary and diffuses into the intercellular space and making part of the tissue fluid. From the tissue fluid, from the cells, waste products such as carbon dioxide diffuse, filter back into the blood within the capillaries. So in the capillary and in the tissue, there is continuous exchange of materials between the blood and the tissue cells. But the immediate surroundings of the tissue cells is the tissue fluid, which is a component which is derived from the blood. This tissue fluid contains nutrients. It will also carry waste products. So as we saw earlier on in transport, part of the tissue fluid will seep back at the venule end, while most of it will drain into lymph capillaries, through which the tissue fluid in the form of lymph is transported back into the blood circulatory system. So the internal environment of the cell must be maintained at a steady, optimum constant for the proper functioning of the cell. So, and that's what constitutes the importance of the homeostasis as a process. You see, the cells function best under specific conditions. Metabolic processes produce waste products such as carbon dioxide and heat energy, which, if allowed to accumulate, would adversely affect the cells. The body has a self-adjusting mechanism that functions to maintain a steady state in the internal environment. So within the tissue fluid, there are factors that must be maintained at a constant for the proper functioning of the cell. Now, excretion is one of the processes by which homeostasis is maintained. Through excretion, excess substances are removed, waste products are prevented from accumulating, so that by excretion we prevent the disturbance or disruption of the steady internal condition. Other than excretion, other processes that are also involved that are used in the body to help maintain a constant environment is egestion. What is egestion? Egestion is the removal of undigested materials from the alimentary canal. So when substances are removed from the alimentary canal of, say, an animal, that process is known as egestion. Or when undigested, unabsorbed materials are removed from the body of a unicellular organism like amoeba through exocytosis, then that is also egestion. So egestion, in addition to excretion, is one of the processes through which internal environment is maintained at a constant. Apart from the two, secretion is also one of the processes through which homeostasis is brought about. It's one of the processes through which the internal environment is brought about. Now, what is secretion? Secretion refers to the release of certain substances produced by the cells, for example, enzymes, mucus, sebum, and milk. Now, if you look at these cells, in some organs and tissues, the cells not only release waste products, but they may also release products such as enzymes, which then must be removed. The cells secrete their products, and these products must be removed. Otherwise, if they are also allowed to accumulate, then this may lead to poisoning of the cells. So through secretion, useful products produced by cells are removed so as to maintain a constant internal environment. Through ingestion, unwanted, undigested, and unabsorbed materials are removed from the body of an organism. And through excretion, metabolic waste products and substances that are in excess are removed from the body. So through excretion, ingestion, and secretion, homeostasis is thus maintained.